You're watching YCN, your local view. Program airtime is underwritten in part by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust. Looking to purchase your dream home, finance your business, or just find a better checking relationship? Our New Hampshire team is here to help you. We make award-winning banking happen every day. Contact us to see how we can help you. Member FDIC.
Welcome once again to Cougar Chronicle.
Oh, here we go again.
I know.
Just another exciting opportunity to visit and talk. So many
lift
great
the
things are
veil,
going on.
right? And March, it's a busy time, right?
So again, this is that. It's exciting and it's scary for me at the same time because
Tell me.
Experiencing last year when I came around, I was an observer. So last deliberative session in June of 24, I was an observer. Now I'm a participant. So this is my first vote next week.
That's a big deal.
You know, and with all the responses that we've had for the, not necessarily the issues that we've been facing, but for some of the topics that we've been taking on as a community in the 7 towns, this is going to be a really great telltale. It's a great opportunity to kind of see what the, if you look at the will of the voters and make our moves and continue our messaging.
Absolutely.
Process. So exciting times.
So local elections, town meeting. Have you been to a town meeting yet?
I did. I went to a town meeting in the town of Newbury last year. Again, we live in Newbury, so I anticipate probably going to there. And as an old history teacher, an old government teacher, it is so exciting to see that. And you've heard me say this before. The idea of direct democracy, this is that participation
awesome, isn't it?
government.
Yes, at its best.
People have a voice. Your elected officials are there to hear what you have to say. And then decisions are made based off of that input and that feedback, and then we move forward. And I think that that's the kind of piece that as a teacher, I always wanted my students to really lean into. And so to have moved to a state and that place where it's ownership, that it's not, I don't elect you and walk away. It's you're elected and we're still together.
And you're accountable, right? Holding people accountable. Listen, give me 30 seconds, indulge me.
Yes.
So I was speaking with Superintendent Fortney. Sean, I'm getting used to it.
We're getting there.
The winter we had, just saying how few snow days we had. And, tell us that your relationship with the towns has strengthened.
I think so. I think that, hopefully, you never know what could happen, but we had our first snow day in February.
That's right.
That was
the
day after professional development day. And from my understanding, historically, was pretty late. Now, I used to really love winter until I became a superintendent. Then it has a love-hate relationship with it.
Because your tummy hurts.
You're making such difficult decisions because whatever decision you make, somebody's going to think that you're wrong. But ultimately, you're making decisions based on safety. And in Missouri, I would get up about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and drive roads with my transportation director.
I still can't believe it's wonderful.
So
I can't
you would
believe
do all that. But that was very typical for Missouri. But when we look at the setup that we have here in Kearsarge with 7 towns,
it's huge.
Somebody told me that we're close to a third of the size of Rhode Island.
Isn't that amazing?
If that's accurate or not,
I always say we're the biggest geographic, right? I don't know if we are,
one of the
but
largest
it seems.
geographics in the state, I know. But it's impossible for me to drive all of those roads. So we have our road agents, and we start our early morning texting sometimes at 4:15 in the morning. But there's a lot of trust put on them. And they're the eyes on the roads. They know the
experts,
roads.
Right?
And all of our road agents have done such a phenomenal job over the years. And they know the bus routes. They know what roads buses are going to be on. So we trust them and we lean into it. And if they need more time, then we've done the 2-hour delays. And that has been directly a result of their request because it's either they get it done and get things sanded or there's no school. And so we want our kids to be in school. And so that's been the beauty of the whole thing. I've been one year in Missouri, we had no snow days for the entire school year.
Wow.
But then the year before we had 10, and then the year after we had 5. And so you're all very much, you're a victim of the weather, but a lot of it is really giving them the time. Any time that I had the ability in Missouri, and we tried to do it here too, if I can make a snow day call the night before and give families time to find coverage, we do that. But sometimes you can't.
Right.
And I will tell you that a 2-hour delay is a very new tool for me because in Missouri it was all or nothing in our district.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of them.
Yeah. And so to have that ability to say, okay, we can push out a couple of hours. Not, obviously some families it's very difficult because they have to work and their business Their
Right.
factory isn't providing it to our
That's
delay,
right.
so they have to do that. So we take that into account. But the idea is to be strategic with it and to use it properly. But ultimately, then to have a little bit of fun. I didn't necessarily, will tell you, the first snow day call was
Did he
not.
sing? I don't get them.
I didn't sing.
You didn't sing.
I have sung in the past
I
in
think I
Missouri.
wanna get on that list.
So we'll add you on there. But the first one, I was telling an administrator, they were saying, we're so glad to hear your voice for a snow day call.
Oh, that's
But a
great.
day before call doesn't necessarily get the same kind of pageantry as a day
That's
of
right,
call.
exactly.
But
That's true.
I've had some silly ones, and I do enjoy doing that. That's why I know in the years past, Michael Bessette, our assistant superintendent, that'll be with on the show later in this episode, has always been that voice in the past. But for me,
Sure.
it was very important to do that. If I'm making the
Good for you.
decision,
Right,
then
you wanna
people need
take
to hear my
ownership,
voice, and
yeah.
that's so that
Thank
way,
you.
if somebody dislikes the call, then I'm the person
And
you
it's
need
you.
to be upset with.
Okay. Hey, big show today, very quickly.
We've got a lot of great. We've had so many
We've had great
great
ones.
guests.
Oh.
It's always so much fun.
Oh, it's so much. I got such good feedback from our, shows with Sandy Nelson, with Brett about facility. I mean, a lot of them.
Oh, I
you know.
saw her walking around the other day with
Did
her
she have her
pin,
pin on? Oh.
and somebody goes, "Where'd you get that?" And she pointed at me. She goes, "Superintendent gave me on the air."
On the air. I saw her at a basketball game wearing it. Yeah, so that's
It's a
how
big
proud.
deal.
It's
Well,
a
I mean,
huge
We
deal.
talk about the superintendent pin.
It's
Michael,
wonderful.
Mr. Bessette has his, and he sometimes gives those away as he sees it.
I love
but it's
it.
a chance to honor those things.
It
It's
is.
the old challenge coin piece, and look at that as if somebody hangs on to that and sees that and goes,
Yeah.
I wear mine as pretty much everywhere I can.
I'm going to get one day.
We'll see, guys. We'll get there.
Hey, so tell us about our guest today.
We have today. So we've got Jesse Fenn is a high school technology teacher.
Perfect.
So he'll be coming in and talking about some of the work that they're doing. Very creative stuff. We were this close to being able to build our own airplane, but we missed out because
Wow, I can't wait.
but we're building a car. So he's going to come talk
Wow.
about that and what we're doing with the technology.
That's amazing.
We've got Jennifer Collyns-Duda, who is our president of PEAK, which is our Para Educators
Yes.
Association,
Yes.
the para union. Some of the hardest working folks. They're the
Oh.
James Brown
Yeah,
of the
that's a
school
good way.
district.
I remember when Peak was formed too. It was really
Yes.
essential. It's a great
Yeah,
organization.
they do
so thank
phenomenal
you.
work. She's done a great job of leading that organization for
Great.
the last couple of years. So we'll get them to talk in and kind of talk about what paraeducators do. And then, of course, no
Mr.
episode would
Bessette,
be cassette without
we love him.
ask the assistant superintendent
Well, you
piece.
both give me such insight. It's wonderful. So thank you for
And
that.
deep thinker. So it's going to be a great episode. And then I don't think, are we avoiding the
we
ask
are
the
not.
superintendent?
We are
I'm
not. And
trying to get.
we have questions.
I keep
from,
trying to get out of that. Would never let me go. So we've got that. So we've got a really great,
We have a great
episode,
show.
great show
Yeah.
today.
Hang with us. Jesse Finn's up first, right?
Up first, he's our first guest.
Okay, sounds good. You're with Cougar Chronicles. We'll be back. Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle. We're glad you're with us today.
They're very excited to do that as we get going with our very first guest of the day.
About this, I know
Yes.
it. It's great.
Very
And-
excited. We've got a lot, and we've talked about this a number of times. We've got a lot of really, really awesome things that are happening, things that are innovative.
Right.
See, you'll hear the term CTE, Career Technical Education. We live in this world of acronyms in schools, but if you see CTE, it's Career Technical Education.
Right.
Is what it comes down to. And for a lot of that, junior, senior age kids at the high school will go to Concord, to the Concord Technical
Yes.
Center. But we have a lot of innovation that's happening at our own Kearsarge Regional High School.
We do
And
indeed.
that is our first guest, Mr. Jesse Fenn. Hello, sir.
Hi,
How you doing?
Jesse.
Thanks for
Nice
having
to
me.
be here.
We're so excited to have you. So Jesse has been with us for a number of years, and
How many years? Because you've been
17.
Yeah, because he's been
Wow.
around since I was
17.
around, and
Okay.
so I was so happy to hear there was another not old timer. You started when you were very, very young.
We call it the longevity people.
That's right.
Longevity.
Exactly.
Well-aged,
Well-aged,
like
well-aged.
cheese.
Yeah, and great historical
age.
knowledge, exactly, of the district and what our students and families need and want, and
And Jesse obviously does a fantastic job at the high school with our
Yes.
kids, and we had the opportunity to really connect early, so and really kind of kindred spirits, because the technical end and those innovative practices and things are awesome. He's a bit of a smart aleck, as am I myself. I don't know if people knew that, but that happens. So we've got those things going on. Good banter.
We mesh very well, very well. Sometimes I show up, sometimes Superintendent Fortney shows up, and between the two of us, we get a full-time job.
Thing from there, but no, he's done a great job, and so wanted to get him in to talk about some things. One of the where we connected early on, and we talked about this earlier in the opening, is, and it's going to be a tough one. So The airplane. So we at one point,
wow.
there are projects out there that schools have the ability to build all kinds of amazing things.
Right.
And Jesse and his students, along with Charles Langell, our high school principal, and I'm sure the school counselors involved, really tried to get into it where we were going to build a fully functioning airplane. And we were in the mix.
A real airplane, not a little model
We
airplane.
talk about that a little bit.
We were in the mix. We had this opportunity at the, I think it was October of 23. We got into it where we wrote a grant and we made a proposal to be part of an actual plane building program. And without getting into too many details, there was some schools that put it in, and you meet with a bunch of people, and it really is an actual airplane that you build from a kit. And it was going to be brought in so that our students would get real life experience. We're not just looking, okay, here's a model, let's just look at a book or a picture.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Real life, hands-on, working with people from the community to come in who they have the experience or they fly planes.
Sure.
And so it really kind of encompassed everything that we want to do. And working with our ELO program, myself, we wrote the proposal, we sent it in, we went through everything, we did a lot of meetings. We got extremely excited about it. Unfortunately, we didn't get chosen.
It's a little tough one.
That's
that was a tough news
okay.
to get.
And
tough
what a
news
good
to get.
process, though, for the students, too, to go through and see and
Well, you
work.
think about the idea that you get these kids that go, well, what did you do when you were in high school? Well, you know, I did service or I did this. Jesse's kids were like, I built a plane.
Right,
You know,
right.
as we go from there.
And they're building something else.
But here's
I
the thing. So
understand.
we didn't get the plane. We were close.
Okay.
My understanding is that if they had 2 planes, we would have gotten a plane.
Correct.
We were
Gotcha.
that close. Like we
We were
were
number
that close.
2.
We were.
So
Let's
close.
not call it number 2.
Okay.
Let's call it. We'll just say
We're
we
very
were
close.
We were
Very
there
close.
close.
There
We
we
don't
go.
want to give credence
That's
to anybody
right.
else
That's true.
because we're competitive, as we should be. So one of the things that I really admire about Jesse is he's stubborn, and he, like me, doesn't like being told no. So we pivot because that's what we have to do in education.
Right.
So what was the project? So we said, okay, the plane said no, but we got to build something. So I'm going to turn it over.
Plane said no. I said, not good enough. I want something. Students want something. Being someone who's been in the cars for my entire life, I'm familiar with a couple different car companies, and one of them is called Factory 5 Racing out of Massachusetts. They build kit cars, or they build the kits, and they send you the kit.
Nice.
And so, why not a car? If we were looking at a plane, why not a car? And the idea of this one too is it would be, we put it together, again, kids get hands-on with it. It's not just, we looked at a lawnmower engine today. No, we're looking at a car from start to finish. Now it's not the same as we're gonna pull a car and tear it apart because it's all brand new, it's fresh. And it has the parts and it has the instructions. And it is simpler than building your everyday car. But the nice thing is it's a Factory 5 Shelby Cobra replica.
Ooh.
So anybody that knows a Shelby Cobra, it looks just like a Shelby Cobra. The big pitch, though, I had to say, okay, how am I going to get this passed? It's a big thing, and we have a very supportive school board. So knowing that going in, the support is there. They supported the plane program. They were excited about it. Let's get them excited about it, and also say, how about we self-fund it? And
Explain.
so my proposal included, through this process, I'm going to reach out to area people, businesses, people with their personal hands-on experience with cars and personal funding.
Gotcha.
The money won't come out of any taxpayer dollars. We're going to fund it 100% by donation, with the idea once this gets going, we build the car. When the car is complete, we sell it. It funds the next car build.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's huge.
Yeah, it's a whole different thought
Gotcha.
process. And that was with the airplane project. It was a competitive grant, and then you had time and effort going in. And,
Right.
But with this situation, as within that creativity is not taking no for an answer.
Right.
Well, then we'll do it ourselves, and then we'll find the money. And so,
I love that.
That's the piece.
And Jesse, can I ask you educationally, I don't see anything wrong with starting with something new. For those folks students who are helping you who don't have that knowledge, they're getting to see every single component instead of tearing it apart and what am I tearing into? They'll see it from the ground up. Does that make sense?
See it from the ground up. It's a package that comes frame, in a bunch of boxes. It's like a holiday. You get all these boxes and you open them up, and
Amazon
you
in my house.
unwrap them. And the great thing is you're doing everything from inventory, marketing, assembly, managing, and going into. When I first started at Kearsarge, I was a finance teacher. We're going to put some finances in there because we have this much money. We have to use it sparingly. We need a motor. We need a transmission. And all these different things have to happen for this to go together. So it's not just wrenching.
Right.
And if you're interested in coming in and working with the car build, and but I don't want to wrench anything. Great, because we have all these other opportunities within it.
Wonderful. So it's the broad spectrum,
Whole
not
thing,
just the
project
hands-on.
management,
Yes.
all of those things, because
I love
timing is
that.
everything. Because it's with it, you look at it like a set of Legos. You have a set of plans that you have to know when things need to be built, but there are things that need to have side assembly, and then how does those things get timed up? And it's just storage, inventory management. Where do we store stuff? How
That's
do we
right.
know? Because
That's right.
if you get 100 bolts, you need to make sure that we know where those 100 bolts are and we hang on to that stuff. And people laugh and think, well, why can't you just hang on to 100 bolts? But when you're talking about thousands of pieces.
Absolutely. And how many students involved in the project, right? And that's
We've even started this year because we've had to look at our space.
right.
And I've had a couple of students involved. They've made 3D models. They've measured the space. How can we rearrange this space? And we've started that because we house a lot of things in the shop area where we want to do this.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
It's pretty exciting.
Boy, but I'd love to get in there and see it.
I
Isn't
know,
that
and-
exciting?
And when I've been out and about and talking to folks about some of the projects they're going, like, I wish I was back in high school.
Yes,
I'm like, well,
yes.
you can't necessarily be back in high school, but you can always be supportive of
Absolutely.
the project.
And there'll be days you can come down,
I
turn
was
a
going to
wrench.
say, you're going to have the superintendent in there more often than not, I think. You're
Well,
going to go ahead and show
the
that
problem
project.
is the superintendent's been trying to say that can we get a seat in it so that I can fit into a Shelby Cobra
Oh, stop
replica?
that.
Because
Stop
at the end of
that.
the day, I mean, and I get it built, but at the end of the day, we're talking about a fully functioning, high-performance car that we're going to get it on a track.
I'm working on that part of it. It's going, I love to take,
so
I
I don't know if
track
you can do
cars.
that, but I'm giving you the directive online. We're
There's,
getting it on the
Aladdin.
track.
There's a lot of opportunity for that. And I believe I promised a couple school board members a ride too, or driving it. So
Wow.
I think that's a selling point. But yeah, it's full
just a great
scale. We're driving it. And
That's awesome. That's amazing.
And then you think about that, then that turns into something that becomes self-fulfilling. So then when we talk about great traditions, so you've got kids that are like, you're going to have opportunity to do this. And it doesn't mean we're giving up on the airplane, because he's not going to, he carries a grudge like I do. So we're going to get those things.
if it comes back around, we'll take full advantage of it. But in the meantime,
exactly.
Let's build something.
let's build something. And
Right. Something amazing.
Yes.
Really.
it always says to me, it's like, what's the worst someone could say? No?
Right.
Okay, well, I'll come up with something else.
We'll find those
And
things
we
out.
just keep going.
So
Yes.
what else do we have happening in your classroom? Because I know the car and the projects have been great, but you've got all kinds of things going on in the classroom. So a kid is, we got questions sometimes from, what are my kids learning? So what are the things that kids get access to and get exposed to in your classroom? Real quick. Got a couple of minutes left to finish up this
exactly.
thing.
A couple of minutes, I'll sum it up real quick. What I try to do is they come in and I'm not going to tell them what they're going to do. They're going to tell me what they'd like to create.
Okay.
And I'm going to show them how to create that, because it could be something as simple as a birdhouse. I said, well,
Okay.
instead of a birdhouse, how about a bird condo? Because I think a birdhouse is too simple.
Yeah.
So how about one for
Condo.
10 birds? Get a bird condo, Adirondack chair, great, what do I do now? Well, how about a footrest?
Right.
And the idea is you come to me with your project and I show you the tools that you're going to need to make that project. Because if I have the two of you in class, you may be doing something completely different from each other. You may not use the same tools. There are
right.
too many tools and too many applications for everybody to learn the same thing. So you learn all the same basics, but then somebody may come out and use a lathe. Some others may not even look at it. So it gives them the opportunity to use the different things, the different tools, learn different applications, and create what they want to create with that. And then we turn over into the other side. One of the things we worked on, we were just finishing today, was putting the top, we rebuilt a four-wheeler motor.
Okay.
Huh.
And we did what's called the top end. We put a new piston in it, new rings, new gaskets. We reassemble it all. Ran out of time to start it today, but we heard it cranking over, and it sounds great.
Nice.
Next thing is to throw some gas in and see if it goes. So we're not just learning the basics. We're going in, and the students, I don't know how to do this. Well, let's find out.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's STEM and STEAM learning at its best, right?
Competency-based education, exploratory,
Right.
and you think about this. what's wrong with knowing how to build something or how to fix something as a
Absolutely.
life skill when you go into the world.
Absolutely.
Jesse,
Without
thank
a
you
doubt.
so much for being here,
Hold
brother.
on. One last question for you. You have a, no, I'm sorry.
She's like, we're
I have a minute left.
Okay.
Hey, tell us about, you have an exciting announcement.
So fundraising efforts, and you probably heard right now, we received our first donation. And hopefully that's the first of many coming in. And as you probably saw just before February break, the announcement of the car program, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to see as more announcements come about donations coming in.
Perfect.
We will let everybody know. We'll bring them to the school board. We'll put them out there on our social media.
It's going to be out there.
It's going to be
We're
awesome.
going to tell that story
Yeah,
big time.
yeah, a lot. Early and often,
Yes,
right?
As I go.
That's right.
Yeah, good. Now I'll let you say
Can I
goodbye.
say
I'm
it now?
sorry.
All right. Brother, thank you so much for coming in. Absolutely. Just a
Thank
pleasure
you
to
for
work
being
with
here.
you every day. Thank you for everything you do for our kids and just for being a good human being. And what a great opportunity
Coming
to
up
have
on
you come
20
in.
years with you,
Coming up
Jesse.
in
It's
20 years.
awesome.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here and to have the support that we have. And
That's
that wouldn't
awesome.
be here without our superintendent, our school board.
We appreciate
We got a
that.
lot of great things happening.
Yeah, and we're so glad. Thank you for being our first guest. Our second guest is coming up.
Coming up, that is going to be talking about Peak, of paraeducators. And
It's
the
a
unit from there.
really
So,
important
yeah,
organization.
the
so.
hardest working group. Well, the
Without
hardest
a
working
doubt.
Group. I don't want to say the hardest working group. 'Cause
One of, yeah.
If you're stuck dealing with me, you may be working pretty hard. But I will tell you, they are phenomenal, and we're going to tell that story.
Perfect. That's coming up here on Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle, and we have our second guest today.
Second guest of the episode.
Really important one.
Well, so Jennifer Collyns-Duda is a paraprofessional, paraeducator within our school district, but also, and why she's here today, she is the president of Peak. So we brought Carrie A in August. We're going to have a
Right.
great conversation with her. Cannot speak highly enough about the work that our paraeducators do
Absolutely.
within the classroom and throughout the district. And I really wanted a chance to highlight this. So
I'm
thank you so much
glad.
for being here.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jennifer.
for having me.
We're so glad you're here. Okay, first of all, for those who are listening who might not know, tell everyone what a paraeducator is.
Well, we used to be one of those people that you would see in the classroom, you know, like tutors, mother's helpers, that were back in the day.
Right.
Our role has completely evolved from that. We now help kids tie shoes and learn the process. We assist teachers in reteaching. We're in the classroom all the time. We are flexible thinkers. We learn
kidding.
technology.
Understatement.
Understatement.
Yes, yes, understatement.
Very
You learn-
flexible
oh
thinkers.
my gosh, you learn technology, of course, as you
Yes.
just said.
Yes. Sometimes we have to learn technology programs on the fly. Teacher will present something, a brand new, innovative idea, and it's our job to quickly learn that, assess what the needs are for the students, and explain it to them in a language that they understand, that we have
Exactly.
know.
Right.
Okay. We've memorized IEPs so that we understand what our role is, when to talk to a student, the proximity that we need to be to a student for their best learning environment.
That makes sense.
In a nutshell, they are the Swiss Army knife.
That's a really,
of what they
really,
do.
yes, it's
Yes.
so
There,
true.
you need somebody to be a one-on-one with a kid. Paraeducators involved. Teacher teaches something, and they want to have somebody follow up with it. If the kid has an individualized education plan, paraeducators
And
involved.
that's amazing because I have, as a teacher, I have time with the new programs, with the new programming, you know, with the new whatever I'm teaching. Then you're sitting in the classroom and you have to just run.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
it's amazing.
They're
really.
rolling on the fly.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
and the flexibility, but even more so the adaptability. I mean,
Yes.
we've got folks coming in. Obviously, you have to have a big heart for kids, and
Right.
and they are. I have hard pressed to meet a group of educators, of professionals that had the wherewithal to go from classroom to classroom,
Oh,
and they've got a code
yes.
switch because it's like going from grandma's house where you
Yes,
can't sit on the
yes,
furniture
exactly.
to your uncle's house who's got all kinds of stuff all over the
It's
place.
true.
Don't touch that. You know, I mean, and they make it look seamless, but at the end of the day, they have a heart for service and they love our kids and they're there for them. So Thank you so much for
thank
what
you,
the
thank you.
paraeducators do.
So tell us what PEAK stands for. It's and many acronyms we
All
use
the
on the
acronyms
show,
in
right?
education.
Yes, Paraeducators at Kearsarge.
Okay. That makes sense.
PEAK.
I remember
Yes.
when PEAK was formed. Can you? I don't remember the year, of course, because
Yes.
I'm old. When was that?
We were formed October 8th, 2008.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Wow.
So been
It
around
was
for a little
yesterday.
bit.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what made you get involved with PEAK?
I really believe that joining PEAK, I have a voice. I get to hang out and explain to other paras how our collective bargaining agreement works. I get to meet with our superintendent and understand the language, introduce the programs, let other paras know what we're backed by the NEA New Hampshire. So letting them know what NEA New Hampshire can also do for them, as well as how exciting and how fabulous paraeducators are, and all the benefits that our district offers. There's so many things that paras don't know about.
That's interesting that they weren't aware of.
Yeah.
Yes.
We get
Okay.
to feed that out. And what's awesome for
Yes.
so Jennifer meets with myself and Michael Bessette, our assistant superintendent, monthly. And,
Okay.
and those have been wonderful meetings.
Nice.
And for me, it's awesome because it's another set of eyes inside the district. And we get to hear the good, the bad, where
Right.
things need to be focused. But it's not. There are no adversarial conversations. They're always. We're on the same mission.
Right.
We just come at it from different sides of the table, but it's so informative, and we get to really push things going on, and it allows us to, as a SAU, to get ahead of things. But then the other part of it, I think it really helps for you when you go back to your groups, to then she has messaging and say, hey, I have questions. I get my own Ask the Superintendent
Yes, I'm
monthly,
sure.
more so than just here with the Cougar
But how
Chronicle.
wonderful.
Yeah.
The paraeducators
Yes.
needed an organization and someone to stand up, because they are the hardest working, to me, members, you know.
I jokingly in the opening called
yeah.
them it's the James Brown group, the
Yes,
hardest
that's
working
right.
man in show business,
Yeah.
the James Brown of the school district. And I think
Sure.
I want to really highlight another thing. This group is one of the two groups that we collective bargained with. So this year we did our collective bargaining
that makes
agreement
sense,
with the teachers union.
Right.
Then this fall we will then start the collective bargaining agreement with them.
So just to make it clear, so the KREA,
Yes.
that's our teachers
Kearsarge
union.
Regional
Yes.
Education Association.
Right, and PEAK is our paraeducators.
Paraeducators at Kearsarge.
And you bargain with both of them, do
Both-
collective bargaining.
And both of them are
Yes.
affiliated with the National Education Association, or the
That's the
NEA of New
NEA,
Hampshire.
right, so.
And so we'll go through that same process where
Perfect.
we'll have our team and their team, and then they will collective bargain with the school board because that's what their
Gotcha.
agreements are. But we'll have a chance we talk, as with anything, we talk salaries, we talk benefits, we talk working environments.
And wellness, for me,
all
with
of
the
it,
paraeducator,
yeah.
is wellness. Because if you're going from Laura's classroom to John's classroom, and we have different styles, and the students have different needs,
Yes.
that's a big pivot.
So the district provides for us 5 professional development days a year.
Perfect.
So we have 2 of them in August and then 2 throughout the year, and then one of our own choosing. So that we can continue our certified, whatever area that we choose.
Gotcha.
That pertains to our position. Perhaps you have a student group population that you may work with that you would like to learn more about.
Right.
And the district is very flexible on their thinking of how could we help those paras on their specific roles and give them the certification that they need.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So
And I won't, not that we want to take away people from our constituency,
Right.
but sometimes we have paras that really get caught with the bug, not that they're and want to make the move and evolve into teaching. And so you have a workforce, again, it's that piece of what do we get to see what we enjoy, and then some people advance up.
Right.
But they're educators, right? They work
Absolutely.
right alongside
Yeah,
with our
yeah.
teachers. But some people get advanced, and it's a great opportunity. I would say the myriad, you can work full-time, you can work part-time.
Yes.
There's a lot of different, so we're always needing paraeducators.
That was my next question.
Yes.
Are we
Yes.
in need of paraeducators?
Always.
we are.
And-
Currently, the district has 85 paraeducators.
Okay.
22 of those paraeducators are union members. So we have a 20% union interest.
Okay.
85 of our members, they work ranging from full-time to 2 days a week.
Okay.
Some of our preschool paras work, only so many hours a day.
Right.
Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's always a need, and we have a place.
So how would I find out about that? How
Well,
would
again,
someone find out?
always start through our website.
Gotcha.
Which is
Okay.
always a great place, the
Kearsarge.org,
www.kearsarge.org.
okay.
Click on employment. If that is not one of the things there, again, if you can't find that information there, always contact our HR.
Gotcha.
Which is Christy Bernard
Right.
or Lori C. Holm. Both are wonderful ladies that'll answer questions. Always contact Larry Elliott, who will be on an episode with
Right.
us, who's our Director of Student Services. And if you can't get any of those places, reach out to my office.
Okay.
And we'll get people steered, because there's a lot of flexibility with it. A love of kids and willing to learn and to
Yes.
be trained.
So if
Yes.
I want to have a schedule that coincides with my children who are students in Kearsarge, I can do that as a paraeducator?
There's a great opportunity to
can.
try to make that happen.
You can.
Okay, okay, that's wonderful.
So,
Be in touch.
yes, we follow the same school schedule.
Yeah.
So-
So they're off in the
Great.
summertime and things of that nature, and
Right.
that's
Yes.
and it's a great. It really is just a great position. It is. I've
is.
worked in the
From
special ed world
experience,
in
yes,
that,
yes.
and I. In Missouri, I was actually in Missouri, and we were just paraprofessionals. That was the piece, and it's evolved because
Yes.
they've recognized the importance of it being of an educator.
Yes, yes.
And so, but that work, when I did the work, was with behavior disordered classroom and some tough kids. I mean, sometimes you're dealing with some tough stuff.
Right.
But when you get in and get to work with those kids every day, what else? What do we need to know? What are people missing? Are there anything out there that you want to make sure that we highlight?
Well, we do offer training. We do offer on-the-job training, which I find that a lot of people are nervous about
Sure.
because people may say that they're nervous about, I don't know how to do that job, or I don't know how to work with a particular population or a
Right.
particular grade.
Right.
We do have loads of resources available, and we have
That's
There's a lot of
important.
great efforts.
yes, and we do have members of our paraeducator staff who have been here for quite a long time, which says
Absolutely.
something for the
Yes,
district.
yes, it does. It really does.
And
Yeah.
they're always willing to stand up and mentor anyone that comes through the door.
There's a lot of support
Yes, there
in
is.
the world of paraeducators. I've seen that.
They're quite a team.
Yes, they're a great team.
They are, and
They're
they've got
great
great
team.
leadership and a voice. And that's the thing too, is that it's how do we keep advancing these things? It sits a
Warms your
special
heart,
place
yes.
in my heart because I was a paraeducator.
Do you know I was too?
Okay.
I
and
left
so
my
we
old
look at
field, and the principal said, "Come work as a paraeducator, see if you like it."
No.
Yes.
And it was, and then I went from there.
And you
got
get
my
bit by the
master's,
bug and you keep
yeah,
rolling, and-
Yeah,
but-
it was a wonderful, and boy, was it. Whew, I learned a lot.
You can't highlight enough the effort
It
that these
was
folks put in with
so
our
much
kids.
effort and so much work.
Yeah.
So thank you, truly for all you do. Just, I think 2 minutes left or
we got
so.
about
I'm
2
seeing
minutes.
getting the high sign. So, which for John and I,
We gotta pay
we have to pay
attention to
attention. So I guess the final thought to leave us with is, what would you say is the best part? Why become a paraeducator? What fills your heart?
Well, I can tell you that I'm on year 21, of being a paraeducator.
Yeah.
And I am possibly not done learning. It's amazing to say, with so many years in education, there's so much I love about working with students. My favorite part is the light bulb that goes off. When a student really understands the concepts,
Yes.
and they give you that high five in the hallway, and you know that light bulb has gone off with them,
Oh,
it's
it just
so
melts your heart.
joyous.
It really
Oh, yeah.
does. Yes, yes. Oh,
So
that's
exciting.
great.
She
Okay.
does such a great job.
Well,
I had a chance to
and
go
just-
around, and I got pulled into a light bulb moment one time. You were working with a student on a
Yes.
Tell us.
project, and she saw me in the hallway. She's like, "Come here, you need to see this project." And the kid is just, she's like, and then show him this, and then show him this, and it was just a great experience. But it just
See that
again,
joy.
it's that piece of the kid wasn't so sure, but then by the end of it. It was such. The student was so excited to show this to me.
You can
and
see.
yeah,
You
you
see
had the
them
moment.
beaming.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Jennifer, that fills
does a great
everyone's
job.
heart.
That
Yes, thank
light
you.
bulb moments last us for
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. So there we go. Just
write that one
spending
out.
time there. Wish we could do another half hour.
Oh,
with
it's
you.
so
so
much for being
exciting.
here.
Joy is so
Thank you for
so
having
much
me.
for everything you do. I
Perfect.
so enjoy our conversations monthly and all the leadership stuff we go. So we'll keep those things rolling. But again, maybe someday we'll have you back as we talk.
Oh, we'd
about-
love that.
We'll
Yeah.
come back next year, school year for
Sounds
sure,
great.
to talk about when we get into collective bargaining.
Correct,
Kind of talk about
yes.
some of that stuff going from there.
Sounds great.
But
Yes.
Always just a pleasure. So thank you so
Jennifer,
much.
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Stay with us here in Cougar Chronicle. We have another guest coming up.
It's our segment every month with our assistant superintendent.
Who's that guest? What's his
you know
name?
that guy, Michael Bessette.
Oh, Michael
He does a
Bessette.
phenomenal
That's
job.
right.
So we're talking about this episode and next month's episode. We're going to change things up a little bit, try to keep
Yes.
some stuff fresh. So looking forward to a little bit of a curveball, but it's going to be a great conversation as always.
Can't
so
wait.
It'll be great.
Stay with us here on.
The Cougar Chronicle.
Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle. And the problem is that we giggle so much in the breaks.
We have
come
a lot
back.
of, well,
It's so
we
much
do-
joy here.
Well, but here we do a Monday mindset with the
Right.
SEU. Every Monday morning at 8:07, we meet as a SEU team.
I didn't know that.
And the joke is, why 8:07? Well, you got to show up at 8:07 to find out why 8:07. But it's a
there we go.
5-minute meeting every Monday.
Okay.
And it basically just sets the stage for the week. Sometimes when the things are going to be tough, it's a chance to give affirmations to people that have helped
Gotcha.
us. But it's just to make way. Our offices up here at the SEU, it's easy to get isolated. So
It is,
we want to make
yes.
sure we're not siloed and we connect. And one of the quotes, I typically use some kind of silly quote every week, shocker. But one of those is if we can laugh together, we
There
can
we
work
go.
together.
That's true. It's very
And so
true. It
we
really
talk
is.
about that, and it's reached a point where I have folks that come up and like, "Are you okay?" And like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "I have not heard you laugh today." So people are tuned in
Interesting.
to that, and so
Yes.
it's as we get that. But that just tells you about the connection we have. So
Right,
so
right.
laughter is that medicine.
Exactly,
And then
exactly.
I always, the had a pin when I was growing up said, "Smile, people wonder what you're up to."
That's and it
But
is
anyway,
true.
I digress. So we've got one of my favorite. We have such great conversations.
Oh,
But I would tell you,
best
I love
conversations.
this segment every
I do
episode,
too.
which is
I do too.
with our assistant superintendent,
Hi.
Michael Bessette.
It's
Just the amount of knowledge and the great
Yes.
conversations. And I think what's fun for me is we have these conversations almost all the time. I mean, it's
Gotcha.
daily. We're
Yeah.
digging into everything,
Right.
and challenging each other, and sometimes
that.
our best conversations is we're traveling to a school for a meeting. But these are the fun conversations. So to bring some of this stuff forward,
Right.
is that and it's the what are we going to talk about? When did we talk about this? How do we want to message all that stuff
Well,
out? So
all I know is that you said this is going to be an old school, new school discussion. You looked at me and said, "Old school?"
I don't remember
new
point.
school.
I may have nodded at you, but I don't remember pointing at you. So as we look at that, but I think this is just a great kind of piece. So I don't want to take too much out of it. I want to tee it up for Mr. Bessette. So I'll let you kind of lead into.
And you
to
have
this whole thing.
props.
So he's got props.
I
this
do
time.
have props. I actually, I was sitting down last night and I was just kind of relaxing and thinking about today's segment and what I wanted to talk about with you. I happened to come across this email that was this description by a professor named John Spencer, who writes about this topic in education called problem-based learning, right? And he actually kind of drew us back to I think it was 65. Now, it was just a little before my birthday, but just a couple of years in there. But in 65, they apparently built the Astrodome. And what he was talking about was how the Astrodome was supposed to be the eighth wonder of the world. It was going to be this
Right.
incredible complex for baseball. And what he was trying to do is to make a point that when the Astrodome was brought to bear on the sports world, it turned out to be a disaster in many ways, because what they were doing is they were purely moving future forward. They were looking at bringing this facility to the world of baseball. And so they built this facility, and it had this clear kind of sky. It didn't take but maybe 30 seconds for them to figure out, when the first fly ball went up on a sunny day, that they couldn't see anything through the glass. So then they had to paint the glass in the
There we
Astrodome,
go. Right.
And the Astrodome had real grass in it, right? As soon as you paint the glass black, the grass dies,
grass
right?
doesn't live.
So, all these problems
Secondary
arose
problem.
out of
Yeah,
good
right.
intentions, right? And what he was doing is he was making the analogy to AI, which was very interesting to me, about how AI gets played out in our classrooms. And when
Right.
we get to that point where if we're always looking future forward and we don't look at the tools that we have in our hands today and shape and refine them, then we're going to miss out on what Larry Lucchino, the old Red Sox owner,
Yes.
and several other owners figured out, which was when you build these new baseball parks, what you do is you take the best of the old and you bring it into the future.
That's exactly it, isn't it?
So the
Look
Red
back.
Sox look at Fenway Park, look at Yankee Stadium. Look at all the things that make those parks successful and bring them into the future with a new design. And that's exactly what they did, and that evolved things. So as I was sitting down, I was thinking about his argument about AI. I was thinking, what are some of the things that I used to do as a teacher, and I kept on going back and back and back, and I was thinking about my favorite times as an elementary school, because I knew I was going to sit with an elementary school teacher.
Right.
And I thought about this. I thought about these two books, and this is My Side of the Mountain,
Love that
and
book.
Where the Red Fern Grows. Right now,
My favorite book.
Oh, see, both of our favorites.
and again, it's really funny. You talk to just about anybody about their 4th grade year, and most kids today will tell you that this particular book, they either loved it or hated it, right? Because it brought them to tears in class, right? Yeah. But what was magical about these two books was that if you think about it, in 1970s, when these books were being read to us by the teacher in class, or by my parents. My dad read this book to me, while I was sitting down listening to things. And, it's just, you think about the magic that created. I would have cut off my thumbs to avoid missing a chapter that was being read by one of my teachers when she read this book to me in 4th grade.
Right.
I would have done anything on earth to hear the magic of that interaction, that relationship with that teacher, right? And did the movie come out? Of course the movie came out. I hated the movie. I don't know about you.
Yep.
Couldn't stand it, right?
Yes.
This came out as, couldn't stand it, right? But the book and the way she read to us every single day, it was our end of day.
Oh, end of day.
It was our end of day. It was the last 20 minutes of class, and we would sit there, and she would, we would earn the ability to listen to it. And it was just that way of engaging with that teacher. And I started to reminisce about it and think about it and said, what's the best part of this that we need to encourage our teachers, but also our parents to start thinking about? And it's like, I think about my own daughter. She's graduating this year from Endicott. She's going to be a nurse, successful. And I remember reading to her, right? And reading with Skullduggery Pleasant. I'd make up the voices along the way. And she loved it, right? But we read together and we talked together. And there are just so many things that in our busy society, our busy lives, our futuristic, forward-thinking lives. Now, it's the iPhone. We sit down and plug them in on the TV or the game or whatever it is, and kids don't even have dinner with their parents anymore, right? But I just want people to think back, and I know it's kind of like a golden age kind of thing.
No, it's wonderful.
With all this technology that we have, and with all these things that are changing the future of how we learn, don't forget about the golden age. Don't think about some of those things, because you know what? This book inspired me to be a fisherman. It inspired me to be a hunter. It inspired me to do woodcraft and blacksmithing. I was doing blacksmithing courses 3 years ago because of this book.
Isn't that crazy?
Right?
Yeah,
and this book, I
know.
When we started thinking about it, think about gender stereotyping and the way that young men are being trained, by society today to look at themselves. I can remember sitting in 4th grade class looking at, my buddy next to me as, old Dan and little Ann, weren't going to make it. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert if you didn't know. And looking at each other going, trying to hold on,
I'm not crying. I'm not
and
crying.
it was okay.
There's dust in the air. Yep.
It was. It was.
Yeah.
But being in touch with who you are as a person and as a young male growing up, one of the toughest parts, all the research is saying right now, kids in elementary and middle school, boys, there's only 10% of our educational staff are males. 10%. That's
that low?
the national average. Think about that.
I didn't realize it was that low.
Yeah. And
the number gets lower when you go look at elementary levels. So it's predominantly the upper elementary to middle school kind of thing.
Yep, 10% of our teaching staff at the elementary and middle school, that's where we see it. But think about it. If the number one thing that we know, one of the biggest factors that makes a difference in our ability to connect with kids and get them to learn is relationship building.
Right.
And we approach that problem in very different ways as both male and female. It happens, and we know it does. Research shows it. You wonder why a lot of males, young males, boys in schools disconnect from the learning experience.
Yes.
We need to build our relationships.
That's very true.
And I think it starts with some of these things. It's about
hand us those
seeing
books.
them.
Come
Yes,
here.
ma'am.
Okay, so while we're speaking, you put that one up and I'll put this one up. Our recommendations, right?
100%. And I will tell you that with this book has some pretty amazing memories for me.
Yes.
I remember being in elementary school reading it and using this book to convince my parents that I needed a dog. Because every boy, as it was said, every boy needs a dog.
Yes.
But then also I will tell you that as a middle 20-something young man, cutting down my first tree with an axe when I owned property.
Right.
And being proud, remembering where the dad had said every boy needs to cut down a tree if you want it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And getting those things going. And so it's just the connection to literature.
Absolutely.
But it was interesting because I think I had some of the most profound conversations with my father about adulthood, about responsibility and things of that nature, because I found out when I was a young kid I wasn't responsible enough to be able to have a dog, and which now as an adult and have multiple dogs. But you always think back to things like this, the importance of those connections and that kind of stuff. And this is just the opening salvo of where things go. But we really see research, when we talk about research, that a kid's ability for positive educational outcomes, a lot of it is how many words are spoken to a kid through it in a day or in a month. And it's not spoken at them through a tablet or through technology, but through that human interaction connection. And so upping those words.
Yeah.
If you don't know what to say, grab a book.
Grab a book and read. Exactly. So, new grandmother, as you know, not that I talk about a lot, show you pictures every time I come in.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Love
but
it.
what
Love
they
it.
say is now the most recent research is saying do not expose that child to any screen time, any screen until they're after 3 years old.
Yes.
And even then, just keep reading, keep engaging, keep playing, keep word games going.
I can't disagree with a doctor who's telling you to do this or a psychiatrist to do this. Here's what I'll tell you though.
Okay.
Find the balance. You know what I mean? As a
Okay.
parent, and fight.
Yeah.
There's so many benefits to being able to watch a movie together with your child and talk about it afterward. It's the human to human interaction that's
Right.
disappearing.
In other words, don't
John and
put-
I were over at the high school the other day, and we were helping out. There was you may not have heard this, a lot of flu, a lot of sickness. So we were covering some tables at the lunchtime. He likes to make fun of me because I was talking to some of the kids and they couldn't get a word in edgewise and eat, right?
It was just it was outside
love
looking in. But in a nutshell, we volunteered to do lunch duty at the high school to help out. So that's
that's
what we're
wonderful.
talking about.
But when I sat down and I looked around, I got to tell you, even though there's a cell phone initiative that's in our schools and our high
Right.
school right now to reduce the
Yeah.
time that our kids have access to cell phones, every single table, it was like they were all at the tables looking at their eating their
wow.
lunches and looking in their cell phones because
Oh, gosh.
this is their social interaction
Yes.
world, and they see nothing wrong with that experience.
You got a table of people sitting as close as we are, 8 to 10 kids,
And they're-
nobody interacted. No words were being spoken
No one
to
was
anybody.
talking about the upcoming dances or
Yeah,
the football
nothing.
games or their class or teachers.
They will
None of
tell you that they're talking to each other,
But they're
Right.
through
texting
their
to each
devices,
other,
but they're
not
texting
Yeah.
and doing
I-
it.
I-
It's just we need to engage with each other, and these are the ticket.
Oh, I
He's a
love
little
it.
excited,
I
as
am
you could
so
tell.
glad,
Just
though.
a little
what a
excited
great
on this one,
message
but
today.
but it's a
old
great,
school, right?
old school, new school. We're
Right.
not embracing the modern technologies, but we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater because literature is important. Those conversations are important. Exploring and seeing these great
absolutely.
use of your imagination is important. And I will tell you that as a grandfather, my 7-year-old grandson, you're like, what can he do? My grandson can draw for 10 hours.
And amazingly well.
And does a great job with it.
It's amazing.
But it's because we purposely worked on
And
fostering
encouraged.
those things.
Got it.
So
Okay.
giving those opportunities back.
Perfect. So when Michael's coming in, I don't have to fear that we're going to be talking about AI every time.
No, not every time.
But it's also a relief to know that the old school and new school will combine. That you're taking what was important because that was the best part of childhood
And
for
it
me.
does seamlessly. You don't have to. They're not mutually exclusive. You
Right.
could have both.
I mean, we talked about it when we talked about AI. What about after the opportunity to listen to your teacher read you a chapter? What about taking some AI and having them develop a picture using AI that through
Right.
description generates an image that they self-create through AI that reflects exactly what they just heard the teacher speak to? I mean, there's ways to blend the old and the new.
You are absolutely the best part of our shows, isn't he? It's so wonderful to have you come in. We appreciate that.
I get the beauty of this
Every day.
Every day.
Every
I get
day.
access
The
to
energy
this.
and the ideas.
100%.
So unfortunately, we're getting the message.
Got to wrap it up,
Wrap
but we'll
it up.
have him back again.
Yeah,
so thank
Michael.
you again.
You're welcome.
Hey, now don't go away because I'm going to be grilling him. Our
geez.
question is coming to us from Wilmot, and it's Ask the Superintendent segment. Stay with us.
Favorite time.
Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle. It's my favorite time of the show. I love this time.
I dread these questions. I don't know why I dread these questions.
It's like going to the principal's office.
Well, that's the whole thing. We don't know what we're going to have to ask.
And you're the principal. Who are we kidding here? But anyway, so this is a good one. And I thought this was a, and it's a message that we keep driving home. But this one came from Wilmette.
Okay.
And they had asked, in our segment with Brett Perret, and I always point over there, because
that's where everybody sits, yeah.
They asked, if they have input about facilities, because this was someone who's in construction, how can they offer that input to folks in the district?
Great question. So with that question, one of the things we always drive into is we want to get that input and that feedback from our community. When we talk about we use the term stakeholders. So how do we get more stakeholders involved? And I'm going to tell you in a shortest answer, Brett Perret is going to be our first contact. So reach out through the district. You can get on the website and find Brett's email address, or just look there and get the contact information for that. But reach out to Brett first. So LaValle Brensinger is the architectural group that we work with. We do monthly update meetings. So what will happen probably is you would get information to Brett and then possibly get invited to one of those meetings. They are open. They're not necessarily closed meetings, but we get updates on where the project goes and kind of where things are heading. We're finishing up some of the stakeholder questionnaires, and we did some workshop pieces. But if anybody has input that they think they want their voice to be heard, we highly encourage that as always. And I would always say that would be through our facilities department, and we'll get you connected up. So
that's great, John.
Yep.
Perfect. So just contact Brett Perret.
Talk to Brett directly and
terrific.
invite those things in. And if you can't, then reach out to me directly at the
Sounds
SAU,
good.
and I can put you in contact.
Well, thanks so much. I
Another
appreciate
great
that.
episode.
Another great show.
So
It's
much
such
fun.
a delight.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Now, next month, we have some fun guests coming
Really
up.
good guest coming in. Mr. Larry Elliott, our Director of Student Services, is
Been around
coming in.
forever.
Very excited to talk to him
Yes.
about all the things he does. Chef April Ross will be coming. We're talking about our
Yay.
culinary as we really do a deep dive into our career technical educational programs that we offer here at the high school. Kind of another play off of what we did with Jesse Fenn that we had this episode.
Yes.
And then, as always, Mr. Bessette will be in that talk to the Assistant
Look
Superintendent.
forward to it. Boy, I can't believe how quickly this month is going past. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on
Tune in on the first Thursday and Friday of the month for Cougar Chronicle at noon and 7 p.m. to hear the latest happenings in the Kearsarge School District. Shot is up, no good. Rebounded by Kearsarge. Eli Whipple. Plenty of time to work with here. Tremblay. Cougars have possession. Not going to force anything if it's not there. That's their style of play. They will be patient and wait for an opportunity. Whipple outside, opting to not take the shot. Foul goes against Guilford. Liam Miller now to the line. Tough break on that one. Like it was going in, but popped back out. Unlucky bounce here for the Cougs. Still a chance here to get a point. No good, and it's rebounded by the Golden Eagles. 2 minutes showing here in double overtime. Timeout called for by Coach Aquilano. That's going to be a full minute-long timeout. defense chant from the Cougar crowd. Shot is up, doesn't go. Rebounded by the Cougars. Let's see which way this one's gonna go. There's a replay coming up. Looks like it's gonna be Cougar possession. The officials to talk it over. Yes, it is. They have the 1 point advantage. They have possession. Guilford calls timeout here. 1 minute and 35 seconds remaining here in the second overtime period. Whipple. This is Needham. Guilford showing press, trying to weave it up the court. It's not in time. They can relax. Coach Camp is gonna tell them, hey, cool your jets here. We have the lead, we have possession, no need to force anything. We can make them foul if we need to. Tremblay. Whipple's got it. Overwhelmed by the defenders. So we're gonna take a little breather. This is a timeout called for by Coach Camp and company. Whipple finds Needham. Tremblay. He is fouled by Cooper Perkins. This brings Tremblay to the line. High pressure situation, wanting to knock both of them down. Misses the first. And makes the second. So 2 point advantage. A trip to the Final Four on the line. They have a 2 point advantage, but they have to defend it here. Baldy taking it up the court for the Golden Eagles here. Drives into the paint, goes up with it, no good. Fight for the rebound, Perkins on it, taken away by Kearsarge. They have possession. Huge play there. Wow. Foul goes against Baldy. As you can see, Tremblay there scooping up the rebound. Now another foul shot situation for him. Really would like to make both of these. Make it a 2-possession game. Be a tall task for Guilford to overcome with 5.2 left in this one. Tremblay here at the line. Chance to make it 3 point advantage. Cashes in that time. Down the court, here they come, stolen away, and Kearsarge has done it! The Cougars knock off the Golden Eagles at home and advance to the Final Four. The students storm the court. Coach Camp and company must be overcome with happiness as they return back to the Final Four this year.